I don't see my boys. You don't follow me. Don't do fasting.
What we have already experienced and what we are experiencing now, even my worst enemy, because it is not easy. This situation whereby you cannot eat, you cannot sleep, there is nothing. If you close your eyes, you'll be having nightmares.
Nigeria's security crisis has become increasingly complex, with armed groups and non-state actors exploiting the state's weakened influence. This includes Boko Haram's resurgence in the northeast, armed gangs in the north-central and northwest, secessionist violence in the southeast, and gang-related issues in the southwest. In all these, widespread kidnap for ransom has emerged as a common thread.
Why?
I spent 5 months in detention in solitary confinement. I know what it means to live an uncertain life in the hands of even officials or government. Not to talk of non-state actors whose temperaments, decisions change like the weather.
Kidnapping is not a new phenomenon, but it has evolved significantly over time, reflecting the changing socio-political terrain of the country. What are the primary motivations? Who are the main perpetrators? How do kidnapping patterns vary across geopolitical zones? And who are the typical victims? Here's what you should know about kidnapping in Nigeria. In the pre-colonial era, kidnapping was often linked to the slave trade and ritual sacrifices. Communities would abduct individuals for various purposes, including human sacrifices and slavery. This period saw efforts by colonialists to suppress such practices, but they continued clandestinely. The post-colonial period witnessed a shift in dynamics. The breakdown of socio-economic, political, and moral systems led to increased kidnapping activities. Initially, kidnappings were politically motivated, particularly in the Niger Delta region, where militants abducted expatriate oil workers to draw attention to the exploitation of the region. By the early 2000s, kidnapping for ransom became rampant across Nigeria, accompanied by the rise of organized criminal groups and terrorists like Boko Haram, who exploited abductions to finance operations and further their agenda. The infamous 2014 kidnapping of 276 schoolgirls in Chibok by Boko Haram drew worldwide attention to this crisis. As economic challenges worsen and more individuals fall into poverty, many turn to kidnapping for ransom as a means of survival. This crime has become a lucrative enterprise with significant sums demanded and paid.
The security situation in the southeast has been marked by rising violence, including clashes between security forces and non-state actors, kidnappings, communal tensions, and human rights violations. This climate of insecurity has significant implications for civic space. Persistent clashes, often linked to separatist movements or criminal gangs, have heightened public fear and disrupted community life.
It is now a complex crisis, primarily driven by economic motives, in contrast to the political objectives of the past. Between July 2023 and June 2024, the SBM Intelligence Kidnap Report recorded at least 7,568 abductions in 1,130 incidents. During this period, kidnappers demanded around 11 billion naira, approximately $7 million, in ransom.
I was with them, but when we traveled a little, they decided to send some of us back, 2 persons. And that's 6 persons were taken with them.
In a December 2018 article, the former U.S. ambassador to Nigeria, John Campbell, said that the country is experiencing a shift in kidnappings. According to him, quote, "In the past, kidnapping mostly occurred in the south and west of the country, but now it has become a national epidemic," unquote. Kidnappers now target all social classes, with no one safe from the threat. Their primary aim is to extract the highest possible ransom. In Nigeria, ransom demands have become increasingly unpredictable, often starting high but dropping based on the financial capacity of victims' family, a trend that shows that the declining purchasing power in the country and how the kidnapping industry has proliferated in the wake of economic crisis and persistent security issues. From July 2023 to June 2024, kidnappers demanded nearly 11 billion naira but only collected 1 billion naira, about 9.5% of the total. This significant gap shows a shift from selecting wealthy targets, as seen in previous years, to a broader approach that sees anyone as a potential victim.
Other issues like lack of employment. We pay attention to issues like the poverty rate in such areas. So a lot of persons are without jobs in these various places, be it Taraba, be it around Benue, that have borders with Cameroon.
Overall, the troops of Operation Safe Haven neutralized 122 violent extremists, arrested 513 suspects, and rescued 305 kidnapped hostages.
A Lagos resident shared that after his brother and other family members were kidnapped, the abductors initially demanded 20 million naira. Following negotiations, the family could gather 8 million naira, but offered only 5 million. The kidnappers later insisted on the exact amount raised, suggesting the possibility of an informant. According to the family, their loved one probably became a target because he had just returned to the country and was driving a luxurious car. This incident shows that anyone can become a target if they appear to have money. Many organizations, especially government ones, often keep ransom payments confidential to avoid setting precedents that could encourage more kidnappings. Nonetheless, experts believe the actual ransom paid is significantly higher than what is publicly reported. This shift of kidnapping patterns from targeting elites to including ordinary citizens has led to a more widespread and dangerous trend in Nigeria. From 2022 to 2024, the south of Nigeria has seen only a slight increase in kidnapping incidents, while the north has experienced a dramatic rise this year, exceeding the total from the previous 2 years and indicating a rapidly worsening situation. Of the 1,130 reported kidnapping cases, Zamfara, Kaduna and Katsina in the northwest region take the lead, with Zamfara recording 132 incidents and 1,639 victims, Kaduna reporting 113 incidents with 1,113 victims, and Katsina documenting 119 incidents and 887 victims.
They had no boundary. They don't need a passport in order to walk from Gambia to Nigeria, or even from Senegal to Nigeria. They don't need a passport. The forest is their route.
These three states also have the highest civilian death tolls, as mass abductions frequently target entire villages or groups of commuters.
Our administration is winning the war on terror and banditry. Our target is to eliminate all threats of Boko Haram, banditry, kidnapping for ransom, and the scourge of all forms of violent extremism.
Boko Haram's resurgence in the northeast has led to increased kidnappings, particularly in Borno, highlighted by the mass abduction of 319 women in Gamboru. In north-central states like Niger and Benue, armed gangs frequently kidnap victims, with incidents dramatically rising and surpassing totals from the previous 2 years. While the southeast has fewer kidnappings, it has the highest ransom collection rate, with northern kidnappers often demanding in-kind payments such as food, cigarettes, and motorcycles. The southwest faces gang-related insecurity, with kidnappers targeting busloads of travelers, but incidents are relatively lower and assailants are less likely to use lethal force. In the South-South, security concerns are mainly due to sea piracy and street gangs. Although kidnappings are less common than in the North, they still pose a serious threat. The frequency and tactics of kidnappings have increased, leading to more fatalities.
It's not by our power, but by his might, because for us coming out of there, it's not an easy task. But with God, all things are possible, and we really want to thank God for everything.
During the reporting period, 1,056 people were killed in 1,130 kidnapping incidents, averaging 1 death per attempted kidnapping. Let's take a look at the ransoms. Of the regional variations of ransom demands, the Federal Capital Territory leads with the highest, totaling approximately 3.13 billion naira. This includes significant cases like the 900 million naira demand for 13 residents in the Pico community. Despite fewer kidnapping incidents, Lagos recorded a high ransom demand of 2.24 billion naira, primarily due to the $1.5 million or 2.2 billion naira demand in the Fuani abduction case. Ransom demands in Kaduna totaled 1.52 billion naira, with a notable 1 billion naira demand for the abduction of 130 school pupils in Kuriga. In terms of geopolitical zones, the Southeast has the highest ransom paid and collection rate overall, with 419.2 million naira paid out of 645 million naira demanded, representing a 65% collection rate. Anambra and Imo were significant contributors to this figure. This year, as in previous years, kidnappers have continued to demand in-kind payments from victims' families. A growing issue is the erosion of trust among ransom bearers, with over 4 killed and 3 abducted this year alone. And if this trend continues, finding people willing to deliver ransoms for victims may become increasingly difficult.
We've seen so far in terms of government response has been more of the same. The vacillation between we are not going to pay ransom and we are doing everything within our possible best to bring the children back home to their parents. And so at the end of the day, it all comes back to negotiating at the back door, paying a ransom, less security for the schools, and more often than not, this same cycle repeats itself because there's a lull in that period, and then we get to hear about another kidnap case in the news.
Diverse groups motivated by various factors perpetrate kidnapping in Nigeria. Cattle rustlers and local criminals have evolved into organized groups that conduct mass abductions in northern regions such as Zamfara and Katsina. They exploit weak security to target villages, school children, and commuters. In Zamfara, they impose collective punishment on communities, sometimes using victims as forced labor while negotiating with state governments to relieve military pressure or seek revenge on those suspected of aiding security forces. Extremist groups like Boko Haram and the Islamic State of West African Province, ISWAP, especially active in northeastern Nigeria, often use kidnapping to signal their strength and promote their ideology. Boko Haram's infamous abductions target students to discourage Western education. In the South-South, militant groups primarily kidnap to advance political and economic goals. Initially motivated by environmental and poverty issues, they now target foreign workers and government officials. Nigeria's economic challenges have driven unemployed youth, particularly in the northern regions, to kidnapping for survival. In this context, ransoms could be in cash, but also in goods. This reflects the growing desperation in a country where the shrinking pool of high-value individuals has led to indiscriminate targeting. In the north central and northwest regions, displaced herders and locals, having lost their livelihoods, have resorted to forming armed gangs that exacerbate insecurity. In sum, the diverse perpetrators, whether motivated by political, ideological, or economic reasons, have made kidnapping a pervasive threat, destabilizing communities and worsening Nigeria's broader security crisis.
President Bola Tinubu, when he was a candidate, promised that he was going to get more police officers to the police force, more recruitment, betterment of the police force in terms of pay structure, and but so far that hasn't been done. More of the security situation has been more of the same promises that we're going to get this thing up and running. We are committed to securing lives and properties, but that hasn't really been seen so far.
Initially, kidnappers primarily targeted high-profile individuals like politicians and business leaders for their high ransom value. However, as the number of wealthy individuals has decreased, they now include a more comprehensive range of victims, from students to infants. Economic hardship has made kidnappers less selective and desperate, broadening their scope to ensure survival. Catholic priests have recently become high-risk targets, with several abducted during services. Women are reportedly kidnapped more often than men, although this cannot be independently verified due to inconsistency in reporting. In 2024, a significant trend in kidnapping incidents is the rise of mass abductions, defined as events involving the abduction of at least 5 individuals. This increase is particularly notable in the north, where entire villages of groups of commuters are frequently targeted. Vulnerable populations in remote areas are particularly at risk for these mass abductions. From January to June 2024, there have been 135 mass abduction incidents involving at least 5 victims per incident, with 3,277 people kidnapped and 125 killed. The increasing lethality of kidnappings is another alarming trend, with 1,056 people killed in 1,130 incidents during the same period.
Fortunately, what has happened within the country is not a conventional war. It is an insurgency which you cannot predict, and always been targeted to soft spots. And unfortunately, soft spot in Nigeria happens to be educational institution.
As the state loses its grip on governance in various regions, kidnappers fill the power vacuum, targeting individuals indiscriminately. As Nigeria's economic challenges worsen and poverty rises, more individuals will resort to kidnapping for ransom to survive. To prevent this crime from becoming normalized, a coordinated effort is urgently needed to disrupt the financial flows that sustain such criminal activities. Only then can Nigeria hope to combat the increasing threat of kidnappings and restore security for its citizens.